All right, guys, let's talk about dating. And so, we talk about heavy stuff all the time, and we thought we'd talk about fun stuff, but dating with betrayal trauma and addiction sometimes can be hard and isn't that fun. So let's talk about, making it fun and what the point of it is and how to do it and all of those things. So you guys, how often do you go out?
We started going out this year, so it's taken us consistently every single week. We do a day date when the kids are at school, so we don't have to pay for a babysitter.
Yeah, that is true.
And often we don't even spend money on that date. It's whatever, we were going skiing during the winter during that time, so it was already paid for. Or we were, now we go do a spiritual date. And then we also do date night can be our softball games on Friday nights. Mm-hmm. And then
So that means we're actually dating a lot.
And then we were going out on Saturday nights. We
Yeah.
just stopped that 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we've actually used the local Dry Bar Comedy Club to as the date night. That's actually been super awesome and something that we've never done before. So I think that one turned out to be a really
keeping
cool
it
thing.
light,
Right.
That it's always a fun
That
date.
is true, actually.
Yeah,
Comedy club.
it feels good to laugh.
That sounds kind of cliche. I don't know, to me, in my mind. Maybe it's because obviously it's because I've never done it before, but having gone to it, I'm like, oh, like, this is cool. It's funny to watch Ashlyn to observe and see what she laughs at. It's not funny, but it's cool. Do you know what I mean? Because I get more of a flavor for what kind of mood she's in and what kind of humor, resonates with her.
Right.
And I don't know. Those have been some really cool experiences, actually.
Nice. I mean, it sounds like you guys really put aside time and make sure that this happens. This is important to you.
Right. It hasn't always been. And I would say even before we were in therapy, we weren't making it a priority. Even we didn't have kids for 8 years and we still weren't making it.
Right.
It was just like, oh, we're tired, like, whatever, go to bed. And so we weren't finding those ways to connect.
Yep.
When we started specialized therapy, we were going to groups. We were going to therapy. It was like...
It can take a lot of time.
Yeah, and you're paying babysitters. Right. You're not getting
Which is
time
like
to just
insult to injury if you're paying out of pocket.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's a cost. It's a big cost. And so to say, let's go on a date and get another babysitter and leave our kids again, and it's hard.
Yeah. But now you have more time. I mean, a lot of people can't do a daytime date.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But I think if in your mind you have it as this is a pretty high priority for me, I'm going to make this happen, then you can consistently make it happen.
Right. And we actually scheduled it on our calendars, so it pops up on both of ours of like, this time is reserved for a date every single week.
That's awesome.
So that we don't plan other stuff
We just
without
built
the other.
it in. And admittedly, like, both of our girls are in school, like, full-time. Like...
Which is new to us.
Right.
Which is new to us. But it's definitely something that we've taken advantage of, and it's been pretty fruitful, actually.
Yeah.
So I was just saying to you guys, we were talking about doing this episode, and I said, gosh, there's a lot of couples that I work with that the betrayal is pretty fresh. It's, the feelings between them isn't necessarily good.
Yeah.
Right.
And she's not dying to go spend 4 or 5 hours straight with just him.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I think a couple of things to think about. One is when you date, what's the whole point of dating?
Connect.
To connect, right? And you want to connect with someone when you feel safe with them, right? And so it becomes this catch-22 of, I don't want to go on a date with you because I don't feel safe, yet the whole point of dating is to start to build that connection so you can feel safe.
Right.
But like, think about when you very first started dating, like back in the day, years ago when we were in college, right?
Yeah.
Dating people. Why would you go on a date with someone?
To get to know them.
Yeah, okay, to get to know them, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, so now you're 15 years into your marriage. You've had all this betrayal trauma. You've had you've had 3 or 4 kids, and life is hard. You think you know them pretty well, right? So why go out with them?
Yeah. So let me speak to that, because I didn't know who I was.
Right.
I mean, I really didn't know who I was. I was really good at creating expectations for people, but inside, like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't even know, as a measurement of that, I didn't even know day to day what emotions I felt, let alone understanding, like, really who I was, right? So I think if you're listening to this and you're just starting, like, recovery, you might be going through some kind of identity crisis, not just with yourself, but maybe with God, maybe with the idea of marriage, maybe with your employment or your profession. But I think even with all that uncertainty, I think it's a really cool opportunity to just talk as two human beings, just saying, where are you with all this stuff? Because so let's just say that you're weeks into, like, disclosure, and you're like, okay, now we got to start specialized therapy, assuming that you can start specialized. There's so much uncertainty, but it's like, why not just say, okay, you know what? There's a lot of uncertainty, but let's just talk.
Right.
Let me be vulnerable and just say, you know what? I might have some doubts as to if I want to continue to do X for my profession. I don't really understand who I am.
Right.
And
that kind of scares me, but that's my truth in the moment.
One thing that I like to do, and we've done this most of our marriage, is just ask, like, tell me a story about when you were 5 years old, or tell me a story when you were in 3rd grade. And the crazy thing is, we have been married for 17 years, and I still hear new stories. I'm like, what? Like, It's crazy, but you don't know each other even after that much time.
That's true.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, my wife and I, when we go out now, our dates are better than ever, and I feel like, you know, she's really discovering who she is, but I'm a part of that process. So as we date and I connect with her and I talk to her about spiritual things or what makes her laugh or whatever it is, it helps bring her out, and she discovers who she is, and so that connection is awesome. But I want to come back to my original question.
Mm-hmm.
So we're talking about being safe enough to be intimate on that level.
Mm-hmm.
If the trauma is really fresh, it's going to be really hard to sit down and say, okay, who are you and where are you at?
Right. No, that's totally true, right?
Yeah.
That's totally true.
And so how can dating be used as a mechanism to start to heal the relationship so that you can get to that point?
I think that you had a good suggestion on this too, Ashlyn, and I know a couple in Austin who are pretty good about going on regular walking dates.
Right.
So they walk pretty vigorously.
Right. So for me, it's always been the eye connection thing that brings me, like, it doesn't make me feel as safe in the past when I was.
If you connect visually.
Right, because it's scary. Like, they're out. Oh, they're actually, like, I don't want to connect with you.
Non-verbals are tough for us.
Right. And so for me, going on a walk or a hike, and that doesn't cost any money, but it's like, we can talk about whatever, and it can be hard stuff, it can be really light stuff, it can be whatever, but we're not looking at each other and maybe getting worked up when we don't need to be.
So I think this is a really good suggestion. So if you're struggling with safety and wanting to even be around this person, then tailor the date that way. Right? Because it's good to go out and at least give opportunity for connection, but maybe you're going to be walking the whole time and not saying anything.
Right.
You know? But you're just walking together and you don't have the kids around and that's all you do, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
listening to an audiobook or a podcast. You guys could
together.
Go listen to this. Oh my gosh.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, where you don't have to interact and get deep, right? Maybe you go to a comedy club and you just say, look, tonight is all about laughter. It's just fun. That's laughter. That's all we're gonna do is find something that we can laugh about together, right?
Or a music concert.
Yeah, that's a good one
music
too.
festival.
We're just gonna go listen to good music that makes us feel good, and what do you know? We happen to be together while we do it. Right. And so I think there can be different levels of intimacy and connection on the date according to what you do, and that's fine. So, Ashlyn, you were saying, "Gosh, I don't like going to a movie on a date," and I agree with you in that a movie is sitting there watching a movie separate from another person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I think going to a movie with your spouse is better than doing nothing.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
At least you're out together.
That was our date night for years. It was like dinner and a movie, and or just a movie. And I hated it, but it was getting us out and trying to get that habit of, okay, we're going to go on a date.
Right.
And in truth, though, I think that also played to. I mean, it wasn't like super quality, but for instance, Ashlyn's love language is quality time.
Uh-huh.
And so, the idea that even though we were checking boxes in an intimacy sense by going out and going to a movie, we were still together, and it was still playing on some degree of quality time, but it wasn't super high intimacy, right? There wasn't a lot of interaction, at least during the movie, anyways.
But dating can be so much more than that, and I think that's the goal. Is you can get to a place where you're doing wild and crazy fun stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, what if you go do a yoga class together, or get out and hike a mountain that you've always wanted to hike together, or just sit in a park and get really philosophical and spiritual together, and you can go experience those things together, and that's what life's all about, right?
That's some cool stuff.
That's the goal.
One of the things that Ashlyn and the girls have done recently is kind of, but they've gone to a roller skating rink. And honestly, when I was like all through elementary school, I grew up in Spokane, Washington. That was the thing that we did. We went to Skate Town every Friday night, and
I bet you're a killer skater.
I am a horrible skater. Maybe I was in the 4th grade, right? But that could be a thing. Like if you guys love. Like if you're listening to this and you used to love going to a roller skating rink on the weekends with your friends when you were a kid, try doing that again with your partner, your spouse. Or if you love to ride bikes, go on a bike ride.
Right.
And
that was our second. No, that was our first date. Was a bike ride.
Indeed, it was a bike ride.
Going back to the basics.
An easy biking trail, and
I mean, these things don't have to be like spectacular setup. You know what my wife and I's favorite date is? We like to go to Costco right before it closes.
Yeah.
Because then we get in there and it closes and it's not crowded.
You're mean.
And we can just wander around Costco without the kids.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a super hard thing to do, is being there when it's not busy.
Yeah.
But I think I will say this for me too, though, on the note of going on a hike or even on a bike ride, which we've done some of those.
Yeah.
Or even saying, okay, let's go. I mean, summer is here. Let's go.
We have hammocks now.
We have But what if you went to a park and just laid on the ground and just stargazed?
Yeah.
I see this. Or, have a diagram of like, okay, let's identify these 8 constellations or whatever like that. Those kinds of things for me were safe for me, because when I saw Ashlyn like with a furrowed brow, I would go to my own shame. Totally. Like it's like legit truth. Like we did a date to a plastic surgeon to get Botox. I am not kidding you.
Did.
Because anytime Ashlyn will go to her...
Because we both looked at each other and we're like, what's wrong? Like,
our 11s, as the doctor called me, these 2 little things right here, right between your eyes, those 11s. That, I went to shame anytime I saw Ashlyn give those to me. And I'm quite certain it was unknown to you that you actually like, wait, what are you saying? But it looked... So my point is bike ride, walk, anything like that, it was good because it was time spent. We could talk, but I didn't have to. I could just engage based upon the conversation rather than in the nonverbals, which to me meant that she didn't love me, and that was my own stuff.
Right.
That was absolutely my own stuff. But
Right.
that was the way we could be together, and I could safely manage the risk of going to my own shame while we were together.
Right. That's good. So,
all right.
I want to give a couple just suggestions for a successful date. Okay.
Cool.
So one is go into it with the goal of connection. So it's not a selfish thing. It's not like, look, I've had a long week of work. I'm tired. I better have a fun time tonight. Like this is my night to have fun. That's not what the date's about. The date's about connection. So go in and just try to create something where the other person feels good about spending time with you. The other thing is let go of any expectations. So it's kind of similar to the first one, but if you expect sex at the end of a date, no matter what, because you went on a date, you could really ruin the date at the end of the date, because everything that you're doing and all this has an expectation to it, an end goal.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if that happens at the end of a date, that's awesome. That's great, as long as it's healthy. But if the expectation is it needs to happen, then like the wife will start to dread date night of, gosh, I have this expectation that this thing has to happen because we go on this date. So let go of expectations about sex, let go of expectations about what the connection is going to be, and just try to be mindful and present in the moment while you're connecting on that date. So
That's awesome. And for me too, if I had the expectation, which I know that I did in times when we went dating, of like we're gonna have sex and we don't, then my shame would have been, oh, she's rejecting me.
Right.
Why? Which is like, why want to date again if I'm going to be rejected? And in truth, like that's like a complete setup. So if you're the addicted and your partner is not in a place where they're ready at all to be, you're not safe for them to be intimate, with, then this is especially for you. Like let go of that whole idea and realize that sex is just a culmination of like a lot of really great emotional connection.
Right.
And but really what we want, what we think sex equals is love, but really what we want is connection.
Right. And we'll do other episodes just on sex, but yeah, you're absolutely right.
The emotional connection really is what we want, because we want to feel safe and loved and all those kinds of things. So I think this has been good. So it'd be cool actually to hear any I guess if you're watching this post to hear like what maybe are some of your favorite date nights.
Yeah, send us an email, share it, comment here. But we'd love to hear that. And also we have our online
workshop.
I couldn't think of the word.
June 3rd.
June 3rd. So
Our
we
webinar.
haven't even announced this yet, but we're really excited to be doing it because it facilitates more people, no matter where you live, that you can connect and be a part of something that is a help.
Yeah, so this is it's a interactive online workshop. So we're going to be there answering questions. They'll get the workbook that we have digitally. They'll get it, and we'll work through it for about 4 hours. And so it's going to be a lot of good content.
Totally. And it's called Regaining Safety and Trust again.
Yep.
Right. So you can look for that link on our Facebook pages, the Betrayed, Addicted, and the Expert, and I have it on Ashlyn and Kobe.
Awesome.
And
yeah, that's
possibly.
it.
Okay.
Yeah, for now.
Okay, perfect. So
Thanks for being here, guys. Good seeing you. Good being with you. And we'll talk soon.